I started in the fall. I started a few months ago. And like you said, it's a quartet every Friday and Saturday. We've got a beautiful piano that Thomas Souls provided us from Piano Forte. Gorgeous Yamaha upright that's everyone says is the best upright they've ever played. So I'm grateful when the musicians are happy and sounds beautiful, really warm sounding room.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Jeff for Chicago Jazz Magazine, ChicagoJazz.com, and welcome to another episode of Around Town. Today I am joined by Erin McDougald, the great vocalist from Chicago, good friend of mine, and I'm sure you have seen her performing throughout the city, the suburbs, and the entire country for many years. She is got a great brand new gig, a steady here in Chicago at an exciting new venue, Grill on 21, grillon21.com. It's on the 21st floor of the LaSalle Chicago Hotel. She's there every Friday and Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. Erin, welcome to the show. Congratulations. I am so happy we can make this entire thing happen today.
Me too. Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Zoom is a good thing, isn't it? Zoom's a fun thing.
It's my first Zoom. I'm just going to say that.
Well, we were trying to get together and trying to make it happen in person, but I wanted so much to make sure we talked about this gig because, you know, we're moving into the holiday season. This thing just started a couple of months ago and it's really taken off. And I know a lot of people are coming down into Chicago. They're coming to see the holiday displays. And there's really not a lot of really good places as far as right downtown to go and hear jazz in a setting like yours. So let's talk a little bit about this. So Grill on 21 is a brand new venue. It's a brand new hotel, I believe. Mm-hmm. And it's at 201 South LaSalle. You're on the 21st floor. Talk a little bit about the room. What is it?
208
South. I keep saying 201. It's 208, 208 South LaSalle. The good news is it's right below. So it's all listed right below. So whatever I say, just whatever I wrote down here is the key. But I digress. So let's talk a little bit, but tell us a little bit about the room, tell us about the ambiance, and tell us about the whole thing, how it all came about.
First of all, the building is the Chicago LaSalle Hotel. It used to be a financial institution, and it's a landmark building, I believe. On the back of it is another hotel, so it's a little confusing for people at first, but because they're brand new, they just opened beginning of the fall, late this past summer, so 2022. So I started in the fall. I started a few months ago, and like you said, it's a quartet every Friday and Saturday. We've got a beautiful piano that Thomas Souls provided us from Piano Forte. Gorgeous Yamaha upright that's everyone says is the best upright they've ever played. So I'm grateful when the musicians are happy and sounds beautiful, really warm sounding room. We're on the 21st floor, and the way this is set up is the hotel is a boutique hotel. So there's only a few floors of rooms, and it's very high end. It's really posh, gorgeous, fabulous place. On the 21st floor, there's a lobby, and then just perpendicular to the lobby is the restaurant and bar. The restaurant and bar is its own entity. You know, they're with Roanoke Hospitality, and they have contracted me to do their entertainment throughout the city, and particularly at this, you know, their crown jewel, which is Grill on 21. And we have our own little section of that restaurant called the Listening Lounge. So it's walled off. So if people want to be in the bar and in the restaurant or watching TV or in the lobby and talk, that's fine. But you close those, it's glass, but believe it or not, it actually sounds fabulous. The acoustics are beautiful in the room. Lots of plush chairs and stuff. So we work 3 sets, and there's no cover, and it's all ages. And what else can I tell you? It's $25 a person for food and drinks, just because they don't want people coming in and just sitting there all night, you know.
Yeah, it's a minimum, but you know, from what I saw, I mean, and that's nothing, by the way. So it's $25, but I mean, you're going to buy a couple of drinks and have something.
Right, it's going to be $25. Right, yeah.
It's not like you're not getting something for $25 plus music and everything else. So I mean, it's a deal already. But looking at, I haven't been there yet, but you described it pretty well from what I saw. I mean, it's literally a listening room, right? I mean, you're there, you're performing. The people that are there have drinks, have food. They're not talking though. They're experiencing the music in a very intimate setting.
And the musicians, at first I think we're just like, oh yeah, this is nice, for a hotel gig. And I said, you don't understand. Musicians that I hadn't worked with before, I go, that's not how I work. I'm like, this is going to be a real listening room. And the nicest thing about it and the most interesting thing about it is we had table tents made up for each of the tables to say, please turn off your phone, et cetera, et cetera. We've never had to put them out. It's just this organic feeling. People come in, they don't talk, they sit all night, and they sit and drink and eat. And when they go out in the other room, they're even mindful to close the glass door, as it gets loud out there. It's a gem, you know, and it's a really nice sounding room. Like I said, a beautiful sounding piano. I get to work with my favorite musicians, and they're it's not a venue where they're like, can you keep things like slow, or can you make it up? I have full run of the room of how we do it, and it's just, and so people can say, hey, have you ever heard of this song? And then we'll do our Erin version of it. And it's just it's really a great jazz room. And the exciting thing for me is how many musicians have been trickling in, sitting down to hear us and saying, what a great spot. It's like this little hidden, it's just this hip, posh, it's got this 20s throwback for sure. And I don't know, am I getting too old to don Flapper Girl? I think I'm getting too old technically, because I think they're supposed to be in their 20s, but
I think it's okay. I think
20s again, so I'm holding on to it, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just a really nice feeling room, and it's intimate. I think it seats maybe 45, 50, and it's just all these plush couches and marble. It's just a great feeling room, and I really enjoyed it. And I think being right down in the financial district, they're trying to turn that whole area. I've seen a lot of news stories about this, how Lori Lightfoot is trying to turn it into more apartments because so many financial institutions have left. We're right next to the Board of Trade, right across from the Rookery building.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And I feel like it being down there in that area, it's just blocks away from the Jazz Showcase. So that's been really fun for anyone that's been coming into the Jazz Showcase. They come over and see us because we go late. They're done at 10:30 or 11, whatever it is. So it's really catching some steam.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I like about it is where it's located, because when you talk about where you're located, you got Printers Row right over there. You've got the financial district, but you have JW Marriott, which is next to it, which everybody should know. That is not where you're performing. You were performing.
That's not where I'm performing.
Grill on 21.
People have gone in there and waited all night thinking I was down there. I'm on the 21st floor.
which to me, but with that, because JW Marriott's there and the LaSalle Chicago Hotel is there, there's a lot of action going on down there. There's security, there's people on the street, so it's safe to come down there at night. So that's not an issue. It's easy to park because I know you can just valet right there at the hotel. That's not a problem either. And of course, there's a million lots around there. And a lot of times at that time of night, you can park on the street down in that area too.
Yes,
so that's super easy.
I think the spot hero for there goes my phone. Sorry, I gotta turn off this sound. But I think the spot hero for like 4 hours is like $10. So there's always it's a very old school dapper though. They've got the ballets and the derby hats and it's a really hip scene. So it's definitely safe. Hopefully we'll get some more lighting out front, because I think a lot of people when they come in, the JW Marriott is on Adams, their major entrance, and it's just filled with a flood of lights.
Right.
Whereas LaSalle is very, very dark, so you just see the lighting going up the Board of Trade, and you think that whole stretch of that LaSalle, the end of LaSalle is closed, and it's not. So right now, I'm trying to encourage them persuasively to get more lighting out front, because I think that would help people.
Well, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but JW Marriott, if somebody pulls up in front of JW Marriott and comes out and goes into JW Marriott, they can walk into the LaSalle Hotel because it's connected, right? So you can actually
it's so massive. It's so much bigger than people realize. So you have to really go down a long stretch of a hall, then take a left, and then take elevators up to the 21st floor. So it's deceptively big, you
Yeah.
know. So I think that it helps to enter on LaSalle, because you go right up to
Yep.
it's all very like, it's got this old school charm with the old school throwback to the 20s and the architecture, and yet it's very, very high tech. The elevators are, you know, the sensory elevators.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So of course, you know, we were talking earlier about how, you know, I'm not a boomer, but I might as well be. I might as well have been born in the 1920s, because I'm like this with that elevator's like, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. You know?
Well, you know, the thing that I like about it is it's that I don't want to say it just sounds like a comfortable spot to come in and have a drink, and it's upscale, which means you're not dealing with, you know, people talking and people pushing into you and a whole club scene, which is great. Now, because I want to make sure we don't run out of time, you're also playing, because this is going to drop the week before Christmas, and I want to make sure that everyone knows your holiday schedule down there, because you're going to be there both weekends, for Christmas weekend and for New Year's Eve and New Year's weekend. So talk a little bit about that schedule.
So I'm there every Friday and Saturday, which means I'll be there Christmas Eve. I will be there on New Year's Eve. Christmas Eve, I think they might be taking reservations for now, and they might be doing some kind of a prefix dinner. I'm not quite sure. New Year's Eve, there's definitely a menu option for prefix dinner, and I think it's filling up. I think the first set has already been filled up. But basically, I think people are making reservations to go into the restaurant part to eat, and then they come in to my area to drink. Because at this point, the way the room is set up, it's kind of set up more with these like small cabaret tables more than like dinner tables. Yeah. So some people are more inclined to want to be in the restaurant for the dinner and then come in for drinks or dessert in my room in the listening lounge. But there was something I wanted to tell you and it just flew out of my head.
Well, with New Year's Eve, you have the same hours, right? So
yeah, so New Year's Eve, it'll be 9 to 1 on New Year's Eve.
9 to 1, okay.
9 to 1. Because I figure they're going to have an early rush of dinner reservations for people that might be staying in the hotel. That's a fortune. And so those people might be going, you know, I don't know if they're going to go to Lyric or what. There's a few things going on downtown that night, but I knew that the jazz people would want to come in later. So I wanted to make it where the venue would get the most benefit of having the music like later. So they could, you know, people are going to come in for dinner on New Year's Eve at 7 o'clock. They don't really need the music there at 7 or 8, I think. So I'm hoping that that's the case. That's how it's going to work out.
I think you're right, because every time any of us have ever played a New Year's Eve gig, it's usually 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, because then everybody celebrates at midnight. You take a little breather at you know, whatever time, 12:15, and come back in and finish another half hour, and everybody's having a great time. So, all right. So grillon21.com, that's the website. Now, Erin McDougald Jazz on Instagram. She's a great follow too, by the way. So hit her up on Instagram, and at the Flapper Girl, that's on Facebook. So you got both of those. Her website's coming back in business here in the new year. So we'll promote that next week.
As soon as I can get someone who has the patience to deal with it. I'm like, I don't know my passwords. I
don't know. We'll have you back on maybe in person next time, and we'll promote the website. And then this is LaSalle Chicago Hotel, 208 LaSalle, South LaSalle, and it's right there. It's a gorgeous spot, and you know,
have you been in it yet? Have you seen it yet?
I have not. I played a gig in there when it was a financial building, so I have no idea what it looks like now. So, but I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, they really changed it around. It's really beautiful. And I should mention that the food is fabulous. So finally, we have a jazz venue in Chicago that has excellent food. Do you remember when Green Dolphin Street, when they first opened, how everyone loved their food? It was like the best food. I remember. I thought the food was amazing. It's kind of that feel again, you know, it's got that real like supper club feel to it.
It almost sounds like where they used to do in Green Dolphin Street, where they had the Intimate Jazz series on Sundays, that held probably about 60 people. So it almost sounds like that's about the size of this room, right? So that's why it's kind of that intimate feel, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's intimate, and the sound is great. And they're working on the lighting and stuff, just maybe dim it or we're trying to figure it out. We wanted to install some spotlights, but it's such a fancy room that they don't want to mess up the mold, the crown molding, which I don't blame them for because it's gorgeous. So we're still trying to figure out like the right lighting and whatnot. But it's been exciting to get feedback from, international musicians that come in to hear us and say, this room is great. I love it. So they wanted me to be there 5 nights a week. And I said, why don't we start with 2 and build? And what I would like to see happen, which we've talked at length about recently, is really turning it into a full-time jazz room where it's not just Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah. Because there's a lot of talent that in this city that is not getting showcased the way it needs to get showcased. Right.
Well,
I'm not just talking about vocalists. That's not the kind of singer I am. I mean, there's a lot of phenomenal horn players and really interesting music happening that room would just cradle, I think.
Yeah. Well, I also think that, and I like the idea. First of all, I like the fact that you wanted to only do 2 nights rather than 5, because if you can kill 2 nights, then you had a 3rd, then you had a 4th, because that's right. Build it up. But also the fact that once all the marketing gets on point and once everybody knows about the room, especially guests checking into all the hotels down there, that feeds the audience. So then when you go to 5 and you're showcasing people, there's a built-in audience coming in and they're exposed to the great Chicago jazz musicians that are in Chicago, because how many people come out of town, they don't really know what jazz is, but they would love a really intimate room. They'd come up and check it out. And that's just going to help to promote jazz throughout the entire country because of the people coming in there. So I love that idea. I think it's a great idea. And I think you build it slowly so that it can grow.
And we allow kids to come in. And this has been really interesting for me. Wow. The kids that come in are completely well behaved too. I'm talking about like 3-year-olds come in and they're just like,
yeah,
it's there's something about the room. It's just, and I mean, with my personality, you know me, but not everyone watching this does. I love kids. So, I'll put the mic down and go over and sit next to them on the couch. I don't even know them, Erin's like, great, I'm going to get another drink. You hold her. But it's a really nice it's a very nice vibe. The staff is friendly. And it's great to be able to say that you work in a place where the musicians and the staff are equally supportive of each other.
Yeah.
Any musician watching this knows what I'm talking about in that sense, correct? Like that it's just, they're very, they're delighted to have us, as opposed to like, it's the jazz night.
And just to wrap this up, but you brought up the kids, unlike 15 years ago, even a lot of kids don't see live music ever. So when they see it, they're like staring at it like they can't believe what they're witnessing. I mean, it sounds bizarre to you and I, but I mean, it literally, they don't see live music ever. So, I mean, I'm sure they're sitting there going, whoa, man, I mean, watching drums and bass and piano and all that, and you singing and everything. But the fact
it was more approachable than, the Jazz Showcase is a really awesome experience for a little kid to walk into, because it's almost like a theater, how it's dark. Yeah. But it's also, maybe a parent might be like, I don't know if I want to bring my 2-year-old and 5-year-old and, spend whatever it is on Sundays. I don't know what the matinee is, 20 or 10, I don't even remember. But here, it's like they can come in. They're always like, can I bring them? Yeah, bring them in, and it's amazing. It's amazing that they want to stay all night and listen, and they're really well behaved. And so it's becoming a neighborhood spot, and it's becoming a place that other concierges are sending their guests to.
That's awesome.
Exactly what we want.
That's it. All right. So let me wrap this up. Erin McDougald, Jazz Quartet, Grill on 21, grillon21.com, all the information, 208 South LaSalle in the LaSalle Hotel, Fridays and Saturdays, 8:30 to 12:30 p.m. Erin, thanks so much for jumping on. I am so happy we made this happen before the holiday season.
Thank you for helping me promote it too. It'll do a lot for us. Well, because we're going to be there in January and February, so we're there for a year. So
yeah, good. Well, everybody's got to come down, and if you're coming down to visit anything during the holidays, be sure to stop over there, have a drink. I mean, even if you pop in there for 40 minutes and check something out, check it out, get familiar, and then come back when you got more time. That's the ideal situation during the holidays. So, all right. Thanks so much, Erin. And thank you. Thank everyone for watching as usual. All the information on chicagojazz.com. I'll also have this gig on chicagojazz.com, so you can check it all out there. And of course, we still have a few memberships left. Gold Jazz membership. It's free. You get free jazz tickets. You get free music. You get all that stuff. So sign up on chicagojazz.com. And until next time, I hope to see all of you somewhere out on the scene.